What else we got? Check out our good friend Push a Rubber Downhill, our good buddy Adam Piggott, who has gone through a hellish experience. Unfortunately, his wife left him. And I hate to simplify it so simply, but because reasons. It's one of those deals where the why. One thing I learned really early on, and you boys could pay attention, you men could pay attention. The why doesn't matter. All that matters is what is. And I think Adam knows that. I think if there's been anyone prepared and trained for such an instance, it would be Adam. But I remember many years ago, I was even in my 20s, I had a friend who was in his 50s, younger 50s. And this guy was so obsessed about women. And this guy was aside from being obsessed about women, he was a true alpha male. This guy was a pilot. He was damn good looking, rich. Just and a great guy. He just had that flaw that man, he had to have women. And so he could probably have any woman he wanted. But this one gal broke up with him, and he just couldn't understand. He obsessed and tortured himself for months. And at the time, I was one of his better friends. And after a while, I said, dude, it doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter why. Because I guarantee you, it has nothing to do with you. There's nothing you could have done. Nothing. It's all on her. You guys have got to realize that it's not a... Men don't control 100% of the formula. The other half comes from women. It takes two to tango. And half the time, the problem's going to be on the side of the women. And I'm going to say it because of the mentality of women, more than half the time, the problem's on the side of the women. Especially if you are playing it straight and right. You do everything you can, you're in shape, da-da-da, doo-doo-doo. And all the social, educational, career, everything that goes into telling women nowadays that you need no... I mean, the propaganda is relentless, nonstop, and almost total. That there's really nothing you can do. And it's sad. I mean, you girls want... I don't even think women want marriage anymore. I don't think women... I mean, they say that. But I honestly think that on a conscious level, women have been so propagandized that marriages... They may want it in some kind of tacit political platform statement. Yes, I would like to get married and have kids, but in their brain, I'm going to say, it really ranks 6th, 7th, 8th place because they have been conditioned to put other things ahead of that. In their hearts, in their souls of souls, I still believe that genetics, this is why they cry themselves to sleep, because it conflicts. Their frontal lobes conflict with the rest of the brain and their heart and their ovaries. And then they cry, and I don't care. They've chosen their path. But that's that side. That's them. And I can almost guarantee that in the case of Adam, it's nothing he could have done, and I think he knows that. But let's use that and the study of my buddy, and then many of you, I almost guarantee, as sure as you have a girl standing you up, as sure as you have that girl that's crazy that you dated but was hot and was a mad woman in the bed, it's almost a guarantee that you're going to have one of these instances where it's like, what the hell did I do? And you're going to have to understand, and you're going to rack your brain about it. You're going to rack your brain trying to figure, what did I do? There's nothing to figure out. There is no puzzle to solve here. It wasn't you. It was her. It really was her. It doesn't matter. You don't even stop wasting your calories of energy worrying about the why and merely accept what is. Why did the meteorite hit that person? Why did the sniper... Here's a perfect example. Here's another perfect example. My grandfather... both my grandfathers were in World War II. One Pacific, one European theater. My grandpa, who was in the European theater, they're marching double file. And a sniper got the guy next to him. A good question might be, well, why did he choose him and not me? There is no reason. He did. He chose that guy. That's it. Old Cappy was that close from never existing in the first place. Because the sniper could have just as well picked my grandfather. And it's pointless to ask I said it was a good question. It's actually a stupid question. Well, why did he pick him? He just chose him. Maybe it was a better angle, and it doesn't matter. You lived. That's the result, the consequence. So don't even figure out or worry about the origins or the pathology or the genesis of this situation. That is a moot discussion. It only matters what is. And now, Mr. Piggott, I feel bad. I mean, not to belittle his experience, but I think if you want to learn something, watch Adam. Watch Mr. Piggott. See how he handles it. Obviously, he's not going to be producing a lot of content. But you want to see a recovery? You want to see how to do it? And this is the majority of men. The majority of you men out there are going to have some kind of devastating relationship-breaking thing like this happen to you. This is a guarantee. The majority. This bullshit where you're married till death do you, that is about as valid now as when you put in your 35 years with a single employer. I'm sure there's a common origin or cause for this, but the days where you worked for one employer, you put your 35 years in, you got your golden watch, you got a pension, those days are gone just as much as you got married to one gal, you stuck together till death do you part, and then 60 years from now, they do some kind of local news story about, oh, Tilly and Herbert have been celebrating their 70 years of matrimonial bliss this day. And all girls, oh my God, I want that. No, you I know in your heart of hearts, you girls probably do want that. But what constructive, practical steps are you taking? You got it. It's sad. It's so sad. It's so sad. I had a conversation, great conversation, with TJ Martinell. And he's no young pup. I mean, I know we gave him guff. We got him booster seats and got him kitty menu. We were all hanging out with him at an authors convention. And we picked on him because he's the younger one. But he's still 30. He's still got some hope in him. And it's like, there is no hope. Only Zool. Just kidding. And he's like, yeah, but I want to find a wife. And I kept looking at him. And maybe it's just because you've been on the front lines too damn long. Like, no. You young boys have got to realize this. And it's, we're old farts. And it's not just because we're old and we've had this experience and that we're jaded. It's that we looked at the statistics and not only was it bad for our generation, it's worse for yours. I've had several requests now on ASL Consulting where you guys want to get married. I understand you want to get married. I understand you want to have kids. I understand that. You at least are being honest with your hardcore genetic Darwinistic programming. You're being honest. You're being honest. Coach Red Pill even said, you are a fool to say that men don't need women and women don't need men. You're a fool. And at least men are not being fools in this regard where we say, yeah, we do need women. Or we, in a technical sense, we don't need it, but I don't know what else you're going to do in life. You're going to do yourself a great favor in accurately diagnosing the situation at hand and admit the true assumption up front, I want a woman. Because then you have sanity at least. You may not get a woman, but at least you will understand what's going on. You will not be crying yourself to sleep. Where the irony of all ironies, guys throw themselves at you at a night of clubbing. You're out there dressed like a low-hanging fruit, and then you reject all their advances. Then you go back home and cry yourself to sleep because you can't find a man. I don't know what insane life that is like. I don't know what that insanity feels like, but I bet you it really freaking sucks. That is what you men can avoid, and that's what I'm trying to convey to young TJ Martinell and all you younger boys out there, boys, young gentlemen. You may not get what you want, and you got to prepare yourself for that fact. Women are not conditioned to get married. And if they are conditioned to get married, they are not conditioned to be lifelong spouses or wives. They're not. 1 in 2 getting divorced. Shit. It's not good. It's going to be, and I know they say, oh, the divorce rate is going down. Well, yeah, that's because people aren't getting married in the first place. And you could be dating somebody for long term and break up. It's still the effective same thing. I mean, you throw those statistics in there. You date a girl for 3 years and then she, and it doesn't matter what word she say because the why doesn't matter. All that matters is what is. And okay, fine. You really want to be a trooper? All right. And it's going to hurt for you young boys out there because you're going to get invested. You're going to fall in love or love, maybe even actual love. And then you're like, stab. As she jabs the knife into your heart. And you're like, and she's like, because again, the words doesn't matter. All that matters is there's a knife in your heart. And then how are you going to react to that? Well, why is there a knife in my heart? Just, you know what? Maybe stop the bleeding. Maybe deal with the fact there's a knife in your heart. And so what I'm trying to convey to you young boys out there is we got this paradox. We got this catch-22, this irony. Women are being trained and programmed that they effectively do not want marriage. I know deep down in the programming they do want marriage. I know that they say as a platform policy that inevitably they like to get married and have kids. But when it comes to functional, practical behaviors and actions in the real world, the is that they do not want to. Right? I know you guys all like talking about the wall. Oh, women will come. No, they don't, because you men keep throwing themselves at it. It's not gonna. They're never gonna snap out of it. You can boycott them like you MGTOWs or Virgin Towels, but for every one of you, there's 100 guys that'll fill in your spot. Okay? These girls are not going to wake up to that. And you boys have to realize that. Women are not in the marriage market. They are not in the I want to raise kids and be a housewife. They're not there. And I don't think any of them will be because, again, they may have it in their mind that someday they're going to go and get married and have kids. But then that someday is like 45. Why do you think these articles about freezing their eggs are so popular? There was another one. I'm not going to go look it up because we don't have to rehash this again. That is proof. That's empirical evidence that these women's expectations are not in line with their actions. It's that idea of having children and getting married and putting men in their lives, it never gets to the frontal lobes where it's actionable. And then the time ticks out, and now they're like, well, I better freeze my eggs. What's even scarier is that to freeze your eggs, healthy ones anyway, you can't be doing that at 45. Women are already knowing this at 30, which even tells you then that they know they're not going to be ready in 10 years to get married and have kids. So they're like, and instead of saying, hey, is biology or the real world trying to tell me something? They're going to say, hey, I could just freeze my eggs. You know, like the old captain has high cholesterol. And I don't want to go on a statin. I don't want no drugs. I don't like to. The only drugs I ever do is booze and sleeping pills. Not together, though, by the way. You shouldn't do that. It kind of ends up in death. That's the only thing that I even don't like taking aspirin. Every once in a while, I'll take an aspirin. Once every 5 years, I'll take an aspirin. So I eschew, let me see if I can do it naturally. Girls are all about being organic and that. Oh, but hey, when it comes to eggs, let's get some Frankenstein science in here and go freeze my eggs. And then the articles where the one gal, she spent Lord knows how much and X% of the eggs died in the thawing process and now she has herself a child. Of course, no father around. That's what is, gentlemen. That is what is. It's not what you'd like. And so the paradox is, even if you acknowledge, like a TJ, like my client, I'd like to get married and have kids. Well, good for you, Skippy. Good for you. There's some out there. There's some gals out there that are traditional. There's some gals out there that want to. And there's some women out there, young women, because you have to be if you're going to have kids, that are aware of biology and reality, and you're going to have to go. I don't know how you find them. The traditional route was when you go to church, you find something traditional. But man, there's horror stories. There's even what I'm thoroughly convinced Christian women are even more insane than secular women. But it's just not, it's not our time, you know? History has bouts of where certain things just don't happen or certain things do happen. And This could be one of those instances where women, an entire, I'd say 3 generations of women now, are programmed and trained not to be mothers and not to be wives. And what's sad is when you say something like that today, and women are like, good, that's sexist. We're not done. We're done with these traditional roles. And it's like the lack of wisdom, the foolishness where they attack a statement like that. Women are being trained not to be wives or mothers. And then they attack that. Where nature, Mother Nature has said that for millions of years. Why do women have tits? Why does the plumbing work the way it does? What do you think? Isn't that kind of like? And so when you look at it that way, it's just like, you know who the fools are. You know who's wrong. Mother Nature's going to win. Mother Nature's going to win in the end. It's just this temporary mental insanity, this mental virus where women have put careers and educations and purses and shoes above their biological drives. And brilliantly and successfully so. I have to applaud higher education, marketing, media. I have to applaud you how you have managed to get 3 generations of women to ignore their biological drives and profit off of them mightily. Trillions of dollars. The higher education industry, the fashion industry, women's empowerment industry, corporations, they've made trillions of dollars, either because you've paid them money directly for $3,000 purses, $200,000 master's degrees, or you've given them labor, taxable. Government's made trillions off of women working in the labor force, and you've lowered or at least depressed wages so corporations don't have to pay as much. You've not double, but increased the labor market by a good 50%, higher than what it normally would have been. Corporations love the fact you women came in here. And then let's not talk about the entire make-work government industry that will not even make work, real work, that now you have to hire other people, predominantly women, to go raise other people's children. All taxable, by the way. All taxable. So you could make your sociology, you could put your sociology degree to work. I are so smart. And you know who suffers? Here's what's really funny or ironic or the poetic justice. It is the women that suffer. It is the women. Their happiness is going down. They're stressed out. You can have it all. The triple threat. Has that ruined millions of women's lives? That Oprah bullshit where you can be a wife, a mother, and a careerist. No, you can't. But by all means, ladies, go ahead. And you know what men have done? Now, men have suffered as well. Get divorced. But I think the tide is kind of getting turned. Men are proposing as soon. Men are proposing as much. Cohabitating. And men's happiness has stayed the same. We've stayed level. And you may say, we're never. I think the red pill is getting out there more and more and more. Young men are getting hip to the jive, as it were. And they're like, no. No, I'm not proposing. No, I saw what happened to my dad. I saw what happened to my brother. I'm not. No. And a lot of times, women just don't want to get. That's where men are postponing the marriage. But a lot of times, there's just no girl available. And I think maybe that's what we're seeing with the millennials and maybe even Gen Z nowadays is a young man. I had a 23-year-old client. I'm like, you're not going to find that. You're not going to find a 23-year-old girl who wants to get married and have kids. What is this, Little House on the Prairie? 23 would be an old hag by that time. The option isn't even there. And these women, they're programmed. They're on the train, man. They're on the train to Auschwitz to go and just have their lives ruined by feminist concentration camp guards. They're gone. And so if you could find a nice gal, that's okay. Go. You want to have kids? It's your biological imperative, but it is going to be so rare. You find a mature enough young woman who's like, yes, I'm going to, we're division of labor. You go make the money. I'll take care of the household and the budget and everything and take care of the kids. We'll make sure housekeeping and everything like that. And yep, captain, officer, old school nuclear family. No, and you guys, and this is the point I'm trying to make, you're going to have to admit That's statistical reality. You're going to have to admit and acknowledge that you just may not be, it's not in the cards. This generation, your life, you may not get married. For a high percentage of you. Because it's really hard to estimate, because it's impossible to estimate truly, but the percentage of men who want to get married and have a family, it's hard to measure as a percentage of the population. But I would say for the millennial and Gen Z generation, I'd say there are 3 times as many men, may not be a majority of the population, but there are 3 times as many men who know they want to get married and have a family as there are women. Maybe if it's 5 times as many, because that indoctrination is so thorough and complete that there's just not enough women. It's like having a high IQ. Once you hit 2 or 3 standard deviations to the right of the bell curve for smart guys, and because of the flatter bell distribution of male intelligence, where there's more dumb men than there are dumb women, but there's also more smart men than there are smart women. It's almost like being an electrical engineering major, and there's like the 3 hot chicks, or not even hot chicks, there's the 3 chicks in your entire electrical engineering program, and there's 40 guys. Those are the numbers you're looking at. I would almost guarantee you it's somewhat of a similar ratio between the number of men who know they want to get married and have a traditional nuclear family, and the number of women that are willing to do it, that want that as well. So, sorry, gentlemen. Sorry, Adam. That's the way that one went. And like I said, I think the best we can hope for is sanity and understanding. I think that's the best we can hope for. What we wanted or what has been traditional is not, we're just not going to get it. And the sooner you realize that, I think the better off mentally we'll all be. And then you know what? If you get it, hey, it's a blessing. It's a surprise. It's a gift. You appreciate it even more. But I don't want you guys wasting your time, your efforts, your energy, your strife, your struggle, holding out for something that just isn't going to be. Keep a couple lines out there. Yeah, date, be blunt, be direct. Like, no, I still think the lightning rod is like, look, I want a nuclear family, and I'm getting married once, and there's no divorce. There's going to be a prenup. You're going to take care of the kids, and you're going to take care of the house. That's it. End of discussion. And if you don't like, fine. We can have sex. We can fling around. That's cool. But you're not the steady Eddie girl. You're just not. Have fun with your cats. Used to think that was kind of like an over-tiring condemnation, but now it's really true.